Okay, so in Matthew chapter 4, Jesus is in the wilderness being tempted by the devil. And there's so much that could be said about this, but there's one thing that I want you guys to focus on. So the first thing that Satan says to him is, if you are the Son of God, then turn these rocks into bread because you're hungry, right? And I want you to pay attention to this. So prior to him, Jesus being led to the wilderness to be tempted, Jesus was baptized in water by John, and a voice from heaven came and said, "This is my son, whom I love and I'm well pleased with." Okay? So God said, "This is my son." All right? Jesus is the Son of God. Satan, in a moment where the flesh is supposed to be the most weak, which is, Jesus is out here fasting 40 days, 40 nights, his flesh is weakened, right? His body is hungry. At this point, starving, if we're being honest. And that's the thing that the enemy decides to say, well, if you are the Son of God. And I want you to understand that this is a tactic that the enemy uses, and to see how that's being used against you. God has told you something, right? And then the enemy wants to come and be like, well, if God really said this, or if you really are X, Y, Z, or whatever it may be, just to try to get you to start to question, to be like, well, maybe I'm not. Like, for you to start to doubt, for you to start to think, well, if I was, then how come XYZ hasn't happened yet, right? To try to get into your head. Because when the enemy can get into your head and get you to doubt the very thing that God has said, now he's got the upper hand. Now you are doubting. Now you're not believing. Now you've forgotten your identity, or now you're questioning your identity. These are all checkpoints, things that are, where, like, in an area where he is winning. And now, because you don't know your full identity, or you're doubting it, you're not functioning in the power that comes in that identity, the authority that comes with the identity. And so understand the tactics so that you do not fall for those tactics. Okay. If you are the Son of God, baby, God already declared that he was the Son of God. Other people heard it. Okay. And now you want to come and you would be like, well, if you are, do not feel like you have to prove anything to anybody. Okay. You have nothing to prove. If God said it, then you are. If God said it, so be it. If God said it, then believe it, and understand that do what you need to do and let your fruit speak for you. Because the Bible says that you will know them by their fruit. Let your fruit of your obedience to God and functioning and being who he has called you to be, let your fruit speak for you. Let your fruit prove like who you truly are and what God has declared unto you. Do not feel like you got to go above and beyond to try to prove anything to anybody, because it's a tactic of the enemy. The world loves to use it, and we got to understand it so that we don't fall for it.